Okay, so in the last episode, we talked about Many Men, one of my biggest productions to date, no doubt. It's an iconic track. But there was one other beat that I worked on that went through a lot of hands. And even though it never made it onto an official album, this one tore up the mixtape circuit. And the name of this track is called Good Times, featuring Ghostface Killah, Raekwon,
dig this. Six Figga. I know you gonna dig this. I know you gonna dig this. I know you gonna dig this.
Now, I grew up watching the sitcom Good Times. This is like the first show that I saw that really portrayed a black family living in the hood. And for me, it's a certified classic, you know. The theme song in particular, you know, created by David Grushman, it's instantly recognizable. As soon as you hear the hook and as soon as you hear the vocals, you know. So knowing how much people in the show meant to the culture, especially to the black community, I had a feeling that, you know, flipping this sample into a beat would instantly get people's attention. So I kept the vocal part intact because I knew that's the part that people can instantly connect with right away. And for me, it was just basically taking apart a nostalgia and turning it into something that rappers could vibe to.
My first tuxedo, my first South Shore ball. Look out, world, I feel so rare. Here come the debut dude, extraordinaire.
Using TV themes in hip hop wasn't anything new, but no one was taking these theme songs and chopping them up into samples like I was. So I took one of my favorite songs, Good Times, and decided to flip it into a hip hop beat. I knew I wanted to use the Good Times and Ain't We Lucky We Got 'Em part somehow. But then, we didn't have the time stretching or pitch to it that we have today. The tempo and the rhythm of the song needed to be altered. And I had to figure out a way to extend the sample without changing the integrity of the sample. So, I sampled the parts that I wanted, and then I thought about how I wanted the beat to actually feel. The tempo and the feeling I was shooting for was about 85 beats per minute. Instead of chopping the sample on the downbeat or quarter notes, I decided to let the vocals lead me and chop up the words. This made it easier to manipulate the sample to the rhythm I was hearing in my head. Once I had the sample chopped up and edited down, now I could make a pattern. This was probably the first beat where I had the entire sample chopped over each pad and bank. Back then, you couldn't just create a program, you had to copy the sample multiple times to assign it to each pad. Today we can do that with ease. With the sample pattern taking shape, now it's ready to add some drums. Now, you can't go wrong using the Impeach the President drums by the Honey Drifters, but they weren't hitting like I wanted them to be. So, I used the next best thing, which was the drums from The Bridge by MC Shan and Marley Marl. After playing around with the kick and the snare, I finally came up with the pattern, adding some more sounds like a hi-hat, 808, and a crash. To bring things all together, I replayed the bass line similar to the pattern in the sample. And of course, I needed to add my special sauce, which was a break or a change in the beat. Now, I know you're gonna dig this. Many Men wasn't the only track that Nas passed on. Good Times was another one that he never finished. But back in the days, you know, we didn't have the luxury of the software programs and the digital audio workstations like we do now. So when an artist actually wanted to work and record onto a track, the producer used to have to physically bring their hardware into the studio and transfer the beat and track it onto a 2-inch tape. I still remember the day, you know, like I went down to the studio to lay down the beat for Nas, and Nas was laughing and he said, yo, you know, like, what made you do that? Yo, you kind of crazy for flipping that TV sample. You know, and at that time I was kind of on a roll with flipping, you know, old TV things at the time, from the 357 and Magnum PI to the NFL theme song with Let Me Know with Cameron. You know, so sampling and chopping up the TV things wasn't really a thing in hip hop at that time. Most producers was doing replays and interpolations of TV things, but not actually sampling the actual song. So I was trying to just push the boundaries, and it worked out in some crazy ways.
Check out the rap kingpin, the Black Jesus. I know a few niggas sniff coke and cause seasons. Peace to have full seasons, and all the bitches in the bleachers. However, sex on the beaches.
Yo, so that concludes this week's episode of I Know You're Gonna Dig This. But be sure to check out next week's episode where we discuss some interesting stories behind some of my favorite productions. Peace.